Hey friends, I'm Laura and welcome to a mid-year goal review and goal reset. It is now July and I can't believe it. It feels crazy. This entire year has felt crazy. There has been so much happening in terms of my goals and my life, and I'm excited to share an update on those goals that I had initially set at the beginning of the year. So I've done some journaling and checked in on all of my goals on paper, and I'm excited to have this conversation. So here's my mind mapping sheet that I had originally created at the beginning of the year. And you can see she's a little worse for wear because she's larger than my goal planner. So the edges were always sticking out and getting bent and torn up. But I'm really glad I kept it because that was great to be able to check in with my goals come July. I originally had 8 categories that I had goals in at the beginning of this year. The first and biggest goal was to focus on my health, invest in my health, go to doctor's appointments, advocating for myself with doctors, finally figure out what's been going on with my pain, exhaustion, and infertility, fitness classes for fun, and eat more whole foods and fresh foods. So I really had 6 goals there. And let me tell you what, I feel like this dominated the first half of my year. So a lot of advocating for myself happened at the beginning of the year, and a lot of feeling defeated and crying because the first doctor I met with at the beginning of the year just totally shut me down like every other doctor I've ever been to in my life. I was really upset. That was in the beginning of January. I was so upset after that appointment. It felt like this year was going to be like every other year, every other doctor who's ever dismissed me, and I just was not functioning well because my health was so poor. Come February, the doctor I met then is just the most incredible doctor I've ever had in my entire life. She sat down, she was like, you have a lot of problems and they're not okay, you're right. Let's figure out what's going on. And she had all these ideas for different procedures and stuff that we could do. I'm so glad. I have a whole video talking about how I finally found a diagnosis and how I had surgery at the beginning of this year in February and what that diagnosis means and all my symptoms and all that good stuff. So if you want to check that out, I've got the video. I was diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis. In the words of my doctor, it's really, really, really bad. So I have endometrium implants and scar tissue on most of my reproductive and digestive organs, and they cause a significant amount of pain and dysfunction and infertility. So I finally got answers for what's been going on for the past 22 years of my life. I can't even believe that that happened, and it's been nonstop since then. So after my diagnosis, I started reading a book all about endometriosis, lifestyle, and health adjustments to make for this progressive disease that I have that's in its most advanced stage. And it's been nonstop doctor's appointments. I think since like March or April, I've had doctor's appointments several times a week, every single week. So I'm in pelvic floor physical therapy right now once a week. I have met with my OBG who diagnosed me, I think 3 or 4 times since then. I have consulted with a excision surgeon who is a lot more specialized in that surgery that my doctor who diagnosed me got me referred to. I've also had to meet with a colorectal doctor because they are going to have to do a colon resection surgery because of all the scar tissue that I have going on. I started immunotherapy for allergies. I've met with the fertility doctor because I have to make all these decisions for my next surgery about which internal organs I'm okay with losing, and I don't really get to decide because if anything goes wrong, they'll have to remove them anyway. So I've had all these different consults for all these specialized surgeons to talk about, am I going to freeze my eggs because I'm probably going to lose my ovaries, and do we want to try IVF before I potentially lose a lot of my reproductive organs, and just making a lot of decisions about how to move forward with this disease and try to get it managed in a way where I get some of my quality of life back. So it's kind of been nonstop in the health department, and as you're hearing, it's like a lot of stuff. I'm just referencing my sheet of paper of like the goal progress I've had this year, and this side right here is all health related. These are all the other goals and all 7 other categories that I had. So as you can see, the first half of this year was really dominated by health stuff. I've also been eating more organic acai bowls and smoothies. I got more space to garden and grow organic produce in future seasons. I'm so excited about that. I bought a bicycle for gentle movement. I need to clean it and inflate the tires and actually use it. I took 2 yoga classes, one with my sister and one with a friend. And I started counseling again probably a month ago. I'm a mental health counselor myself, so I understand the value in it and how it can be really helpful for most people. So I recently headed back because I feel like my brain is going a million miles a minute since my diagnosis, trying to figure out all of the unknowns and which path is the best path forward for me. Has been a whole lot going on. So got back into counseling, and yeah, been doing a lot for my health. So that's really where the bulk of my efforts this year and the bulk of my attention has gone, is in that health category of goals. Checking in on the other 7 categories of my goals for the first half of 2024 is finances. In that category, I wanted to pay off my car, pay off 3 student loans, spend more on experiences instead of things, not stress about health costs, low spend and no spend challenges, and then budget and track my spending. So out of those 6 goals, I've really only done 2 of them. And I understood at the beginning of this year, and you can watch all about that in the video for my 2024 goals. I understood that this category would be compromised by what happened in other categories, and that truly is what happened, and it's okay. So what I have done in finances in the first half of 2024 is I paid off my car, and I have invested in my health and improved my mindset around investing for my health. So I am spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on my health this year, and that's just what this year looks like. And that does come at the cost of some of my other financial goals, which is okay because my health needs to be the most important thing right now. So I've made a little bit of progress, but not too much in that category. Next category was my home. I wanted to adjust the home to create a nursery, finish or abandon old craft projects, dining room and craft room conversion. So take my craft room and do built-ins in the dining room and relocate all of my craft rooms so that this room can become a nursery. Declutter and have more breathing space in our home, and then have an approved home study. Only did a little bit in these categories. So I decluttered a little bit, like not even a lot, but a little bit here and there. And then we are also working on our approved home study to get licensed for 2 children to do foster care. So that is pretty exciting, but there's still so much to do in all of these categories of goals for home. And I'm really feeling a deep yearning to focus on that in upcoming seasons. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to do there. We've only kind of worked on some of the goals a little bit. Next category of goals was fun, and to have more fun and everyday magic in my life. In this category, I took 2 yoga classes, one with my sister, one with a friend. I took a cooking class with a friend. I made major progress on my dream garden. You can watch a video where I planned out my entire dream garden this year, and I will be sharing more videos in the future about how I am creating that and bringing it to life slowly, and it's been incredible. There's been more progress in the garden this year than probably any other year in the backyard, and I'm I'm very excited for what's to come and what's been done already there. So I will definitely be sharing videos of that. Watch the Planning Dream Garden if you want to see more. I hosted a season 2 Bridgerton watch party, and I did have dinner by candlelight a couple times and have just been using a lot more candles in general. So those are all the ways that I have really focused on achieving those goals and bringing those things to fruition. There's a lot of stuff though on that list of things that I haven't done. I haven't really taken any trips. I've actually taken a lot of trips, but they've all been for my family and to see my sisters. So I think I've taken 4 or 5 trips this year, but they've all been to support other people and be there for other people, which is really, really important to me, and I wouldn't have that any other way. But I am missing that component of taking trips for fun. I haven't really had a vacation that's just for fun this year. So that's one area of growth to focus on. I haven't explored any new places. Hosting girly activities, I've only hosted one so far this year. To live for the hope of it all, which has been my phrase for this year. I feel like I'm trying, and my diagnosis and disease have made that incredibly challenging because it took a long time for me to process that information and not just see the detriment of my disease. So I've been working on it. I did add my first rose and plant my dream garden. That is so exciting. I got my first rose bush. It's very exciting. It's a climbing rose. It's not doing anything this year except having a few green leaves. So this is more about, again, living for the hope of it all. This is not an immediate gratification thing. It's more something that will come later, and investing in my future dream garden. No perfectionism. Still struggling with that one, but I have tried working on it. Gold permanent jewelry pieces. I did accomplish that one. At the beginning of this year, I had gold hoops in my bottom 2 piercings, and I do still have those in. They're in all the time. And I now have gold and like little rhinestone diamond type studs in my cartilage and in my tragus piercings. So my ears have the permanent jewelry that never comes out and stays in all the time, that I love, and it's high quality and it doesn't bother my ears. So I love that. Definitely accomplished that goal. Having more flowers and stems indoors, haven't really done that a whole lot. More laughter, not really done that as much as I would have liked. Again, my whole attitude and mood was really compromised with my diagnosis and my pain and my health stuff. So that's an area of growth moving forward now that I've had some time to process that, and hopefully we'll get some relief in the future. More nature. I have about the same amount of nature. I do a lot of gardening, and so I am in nature pretty frequently, but not as much as I want to be. So I haven't really grown in this area. I've just maintained what I already had. More connection. I actually feel a little bit more disconnected this year. I feel like with everything that's been going on for me, that's really heavy, and it's heavy for other people because I'm a verbal processor. So I like to talk about it a lot in order to understand it and gain clarity around it and figure out what I'm going to do moving forward. But it's a hard topic. Like, it's a hard thing to be a person with chronic pain and to be a friend of a person with chronic conditions. And me saying how I feel, unfortunately, comes across as a complaint because I usually don't feel good. I think that has hindered connection a little bit, as well as just like processing all this information. I tend to turn a little bit internal if I'm not verbally processing with others. I tend to go internal because I don't feel super awesome. So I've had less connection this year, and I'd really like to focus on that more moving forward, is having more connection. And dancing for fun. Have not done that. In the category of work, I have achieved a better work-life balance. I went down to part-time, which is something I was not anticipating. But again, the health stuff really determined that. And I found out that stress is a huge contributing factor to my disease. And like most chronic conditions and diseases, stress makes them worse. So I have decided to permanently go down to part-time moving forward, which was a huge, very unexpected move, and I have a much better work-life balance now and a much better enjoyment around work now. So that's been really great. But I did not work on any other work goals because, again, work just has been one of the least important things for me this year with all of everything else that's been going on. The category of building something of my own, which is building my own business, my goals were weekly videos, write heartfelt blog posts, host workshops, host a retreat. Those are more ideas. Finish some business courses that I took. There are 2 courses, and then take more photos. I've done hardly anything on that list. I have shared 13 videos on YouTube, which I'm very happy with the quality of those and the content in those, so I am happy about that. And I have been taking more photos than I was before, but I haven't really been doing anything with them. So this is, again, another area that I want to focus on a lot more moving forward in the second half of this year, if possible. And then the last category of goals that I had at the beginning of this year is to become the woman I want to be, the wife, the mom, the woman I want to be. And in that category, we are so close to becoming licensed foster parents. We finished our tips maps class. We have done almost all the paperwork, which, believe it or not, is like hundreds and hundreds of pages of paperwork. We have got our physicals in from the doctor, our vaccines up to date. We did our fire safety inspection. We've done so much in this category, but there's still a couple things left. We have to become CPR certified, first aid certified. We have like 2 more references out of our 6 references that we need to check up with. So they will submit their references for us to get approved. And then our licensing social worker has to submit our application to the state for approval. So if everything goes really well, we'll probably be licensed by August, which is so much that we have accomplished in the first half of 2024, and the finale of like actually getting to that goal and achieving becoming licensed for foster parenting won't be done until the second half of this year in August, hopefully. So we'll see how that goes, but there's been a lot of progress. Added to my wardrobe for things that I feel really confident in. I have built out my wardrobe a little bit this year. And then hair masks and therapy for self-care. I really wanted to get back to self-care this year. I used to be really, really good at it, and I would say I've only done it a little bit. I got a hair mask that I love, which has really helped my hair quality and just the way I feel about my hair every day. It no longer feels dry. It feels pretty awesome. So I'm very happy with that, and I use that hair mask and it smells divine. So that really feels like self-care when I do it. And then again, back in therapy to help take care of myself, because self-care is not always the fun, frilly, girly stuff of getting a mani-pedi or doing a hair mask. Sometimes it's the deep, hard work of truly taking care of yourself and nourishing your mind, body, and soul. So that is a recap of the first half of 2024. I cannot believe all the things that happened in the first half of this year. It's been a whirlwind. I feel like I've been going nonstop. For example, this week I had 4 doctor's appointments. Last week I had 4 doctor's appointments. Most weeks I've had several doctor's appointments since March, and had a surgery and becoming, working on becoming licensed foster parents. Those have really been the bulk of the goal work that I've done in the first half of this year. Now, let's talk about the second half of this year, because I am doing a major goal reset and really resetting around what's going to be most important in the second half of this year, and kind of changing my focus and intentions a little bit from the first half of this year. So I've done my journaling and I've changed my categories. So my 8 categories from the beginning of this year, I realized they weren't really categorized in the way that felt best for me. So I have my categories for the second half of this year for my goals, and they are really focused on my personal values. Some of the goal categories stayed the same, but let's check in on what those categories are and what the goals are. The first category is peace and feeling peaceful. My goals in this category moving forward are to declutter our house, spend more time in nature, dinners by candlelight, even more dinners by candlelight. A gratitude journal. I recently got a gratitude journal. I'm loving it. Really help with my mindset. Practice non-attachment, which means not attaching yourself to certain outcomes that you want and instead focusing on the process because of the joy and investment in the process itself. And I feel like that's going to be absolutely essential to me moving forward because there are so many unknowns in my life right now and in my future right now that I need to be open to things coming and going and changing with my health and with doctors and with plans, and really wanting to practice some non-attachment in the second half of this year in terms of attachment to specific outcomes I want. And then prayer, more prayer in the second half of this year. The next category is health. There's still so much to do in the health category. Really, the first half of this year was figuring out what was on fire. But like y'all, I am still on fire. I'm not gonna lie. We figured out what's going on and we're doing a lot to try to work on it. But everything that was a problem in terms of chronic pain and exhaustion are still problems. I'm still having all the same problems. So we have to figure out if we're going to do IVF or surgery next. I was never going to think about IVF. It was not my plan at all. I actually have a video talking about our goal to adopt and how we've been saving up for domestic infant adoption for the past year. And with everything that's been going on with like God working on my heart and with my health and everything that's been going on, this has changed a lot. Because if you watch my video about our plan to do domestic infant adoption and to adopt a baby, I talk all about our timeline and why we chose to do things in the order we chose to do them and why we chose not to do IVF. But finally figuring out what was going on with my health and why I have infertility made a big difference, because with my next surgery, I have to make all these decisions about which reproductive organs I'm going to lose and if I'm going to do IVF. So we've been meeting with fertility doctors, surgeons, and trying to figure out what the next step is in my health journey. But since meeting with our fertility doctor, it is something that I am seriously considering. It's going to be a lot more affordable than I thought it was going to be because of our insurance and because I've invested so much in my health this year that I've reached my deductible, and I will be reaching my out-of-pocket max this year. So we have a lot of coverage there potentially. So we have to figure out what we're doing moving forward. Right now we're waiting to hear back from insurance if they are going to approve IVF coverage. We have IVF coverage, but they typically require you to do 6 rounds of IUI first. And we know with my condition and what's going on with my infertility, IUI will have a 0% chance at success. And I'm not going to put my body through 6 rounds of IUI and all the hormones and all the bad stuff when I know it's a 0% chance of being successful. So we're trying to submit a pre-authorization request for insurance and potentially an appeal if they deny our request to go straight to IVF. And kind of the reason we decided to shift all that is, again, because we decided to move forward with foster care and not wait several more years until after we adopt to do foster care. I've really felt a calling to help where we are and help how we can and not wait for, you know, the ideal life circumstances and having everything we want before we do that. And I've just felt like God has really worked on my heart in this way and built up this calling in me to be sacrificial. And that's really what I've heard about foster care, is that it is the hardest work you will ever do, and it is the most beautiful work you will ever do, much like parenting in general. So it's really a sacrifice to have your heart broken and to watch other people's hearts break, but in a way that's incredibly fulfilling and helpful for your own life satisfaction, contributing to your community, and just having that bond with children and helping them heal from trauma and giving them a safe space is just It's great. So anyway, that really changed health stuff because now we're looking at IVF, because if we're doing foster care, we are not going to be ideal candidates for domestic infant adoption because our family dynamic will be changing often. We'll have children with trauma in our house, and we will have other children in our house in general, which means we are less desirable for somebody trying to find the perfect family to adopt their baby. Typically, birth parents really prefer, with domestic infant adoption, parents that are going to be adopting their first child, because they know that that parent is going to have all their time, money, and resources for their child to be the most important thing in their entire world. So that makes you a lot more desirable if you don't have children. And again, foster care has really changed that for us. And moving forward with that process, it does come at the sacrifice of knowing we're not going to be ideal candidates for domestic infant adoption. And there's going to be a lot of birth families that would look at that and not feel great about how our family dynamic is constantly changing, with different kids coming in and out of our house with different behaviors and traumas, and our focus really being devoted to those things as well. So because of that, I am seriously considering IVF, depending on what insurance says, which is a huge change and a whole side tangent, sorry about that, but it has to do with health. So for the health category, determine if we're doing IVF or surgery, and start whichever path that we choose based on the feedback that we get from different doctors and insurance. Eat whole, nourishing foods, consistent, gentle movement. Really need to work on the consistent part. I've got the gentle part down, but I don't do it very regularly. Less social media. I'm not sure what this is gonna look like, but again, I felt like it's really been a heart calling lately, saying to put down certain things and step away from certain things. My third category is finances. Pay off credit cards, pay off our cruise. I did book a cruise. Me and my best friend booked a cruise for us, our husbands, and her baby. So very excited to have our first like joint family trip with them, and our first cruise, our first time going to the Bahamas. Not gonna lie, it's a cheap trip and it's a really short trip, but I don't care. I took what I could get and I was like, yes, I'm going to invest in this. I need something good to look forward to. So we booked that in January, and the cruise is happening in November, and we have to pay it off next month. So gotta pay that off. Pay off one of my student loans. Change that goal. The initial goal was to pay off 3. Again, I am spending so much on my health this year. That is not a priority because I only have so many resources, especially since I went down to part-time working. That really dramatically changed my financial situation as well, because I'm only making half as much as I was last year. So yeah, kind of taking a step back on the financial goals and making them a lot more reasonable given my other focuses right now. Only intentional shopping. I really want to only shop when I am there for a very specific purpose, and it's a good purpose. Focus on being content. That's part of what my gratitude journal is for. Lower the cost of my lifestyle. Again, that's something I've already started to become more aware of this year, and I've really been focused on it the last couple of months because going down to part-time work dramatically affected my income, which means I can no longer spend money on all the things I was spending money on because I don't have the same amount of extra money at the end of every month now. So just wanting to focus on lowering that lifestyle cost, being content with what I have, and not taking on any more debt. So those are my financial goals. In the category of fun, I want to improve my attitude, again with that gratitude journal, and just, you know, I've had time to process my disease and some of the stuff that I have to make decisions on, which has already put me in a much better headspace to not be so worried about those things anymore, because I've kind of come to some conclusions, and I'm also trying to practice that art of non-attachment to specific outcomes that I want, like having a baby. I'm trying to be very open to the fact that that might not happen and just go with the flow a little bit. So that should help me improve my attitude in the second half of this year. fun, gentle movement, roller skating, walking club with my friend. My friend and I talked about starting a walking club, just me and her, but she's out of town like a lot, like almost every week. So I don't know how realistic that is. I don't know how often our schedules are going to align to actually walk together, but hopefully we can get into a pattern of doing that somewhat consistently, like maybe twice a month, I think would be pretty realistic. A day trip to hike in the mountains. I really want to do that this year. That's totally realistic. A day trip is about 2.5 to 4 hours away, depending on which mountains we want to go to in the Appalachian Mountains, which particular part of the mountains we want to go to. So I'd love to go hiking there. Going swimming, I've already been going to the pool more this summer, which is great. And then enjoy everyday moments. So yeah, just trying to find fun in the everyday moments instead of thinking I need really big things like vacations or trips to have fun. Last category of goals for 2024 in the second half of the year is one of the categories I had before, and that is to build something of my own. I have really felt a necessity to focus on that because when I switched to part-time at work, that really changed my work situation, not only in terms of income, but it gave me workplace instability, which I really do not like, but it makes sense. The business doesn't necessarily know if it can support a part-time person there in the office. To them, it's just a lot easier. It makes a lot more sense business-wise to get a therapist in there who's doing therapy full-time instead of trying to coordinate the schedules of 2 therapists sharing an office that are doing part-time. So they did let me know that they're not sure if that is something that they can sustain long-term as me going part-time, and we might get to a part of next year where I might have to look for another job, which I really, really hate and am dreading. And I hope it doesn't happen, but there's potential that it could happen. And because of that workplace instability of just not knowing what my future really is and not loving the option if I can't stay where I am, I have really felt the need to focus on building something of my own. So my goals around this are to get some new photographs for my website and blog. I'm excited about this, and one way that I am going to make that fun is I want to do a photography trading day with my friend Becca. She also wants some photos because she is a professional artist, and at one of the hangouts that we had this year, actually I've hosted 2 girly things. Okay. Sorry, just upped my goal ante there for the first half of this year. I hosted a really cute, I mean, it was only one other person, but to celebrate my friend Becca's birthday, I did this really girly brunch and planned a cute girly day. It was amazing. It was incredible. So that was hosting a fun girly thing. But we had talked about at that hangout that we would love to spend a day together, just like going all around and taking pictures and exchanging pictures so that we both had good photography to share on our websites and blog posts and that sort of thing. So that would be really fun to do that. Get a business mentor. That was at the advice of my therapist. And it's a really scary thing for me, but I do think that would be really valuable probably to push me out of my comfort zone because I have a huge fear of failure and rejection in this category and investing a lot of things into building my own mental wellness business online for women. So I really want to focus on that because my dreams are big. I'd love to get to a spot where I've got online courses and have a retreat annually. I think that would be so much fun and just would be really rewarding and kind of an extension of what I already do as a mental health counselor, specializing in helping women improve their mental health. So I know the work I do in my career is really valuable, and I want to figure out how to translate that a little bit to building something of my own, in addition to maintaining my part-time therapy work if that's a possibility with the company I'm at now. So we'll see how that plays out. I want to fill my blog with valuable content and content that just lights me up to share and helps all of you guys and the people who are looking for that content, and continue growing my YouTube channel engagement and following with sharing great videos. And yeah, I'm just really excited for this overlap that I feel very passionate about living a creative lifestyle and how that really helps support your mental health and improve your mental health and give you a really fulfilling life. So that's where I'm at. We have only got 5 categories for goals in the second half of this year. peace, health, finances, fun, and building something of my own. I feel like I've got a pretty good grasp on the health category now. I've kind of adjusted to so many hours of my week now being dedicated to all these doctor's appointments. I've kind of adjusted to having to go to the appointments, getting stuck with needles. I've gotten very used to having invasive things done. And I've also gotten used to the amount of time that just takes to coordinate all that and set that up. So I think I'll have a little bit more capacity from that category, from the health category, even though it remains the most important category, now that I'm used to all the changes that have kind of happened in that area. And I know there will be more changes to come depending on if I get a surgery or if we do IVF, but I think I'll have a little bit more capacity from that area, even though it's still the most important area, to help give to some of the other ones that I haven't been focused on in the first half of this year. So as you can see, I'm really focusing on the feelings I want to feel in the second half of this year and just having a much better mindset and feeling peaceful and fulfilled and content and healthy and having fun and building something that I can be really proud of that helps other people, and you know, some practical financial and household stuff as well. So that's the rundown of 2024, my goal reset, and what I'm going to be focused on for the second half of this year, as well as how I did the first half of this year. I would love to hear how your year is going. How has 2024 been for you and your goals? I would love to hear that. I would love to have a conversation, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more on how this year ends up going, building my dream garden, focusing on my health, maybe doing IVF, and all the creative projects that I already share with crafting and scrapbooking and gardening and DIY projects and baking and hosting all the girly things. I love it. So thank you so much for joining me for this video, and I will catch you in the next one. I hope you are having a good mid-year, and I hope this serves as a really good reminder for you to reset and check in on those goals and intentions and realign yourself to have the most fulfilling second half of this year as you can. Bye.